balance is fake.
Balance is
There's no,
fake.
there's no such thing as balance. People are like, how do you balance your being a mom and being a athlete and being a businesswoman or whatever your life looks like? Because all of us have lots of facets in our life that we have to take care of, right? I think balance is fake. I think whatever you're doing at that time, you have to give 110% to. And that's how you have time to then do these other things that are hopefully 100%.
All right, welcome everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day today. We are your hosts, Luigi and Dana from the Canadian Health and Fitness Institute. And on today's episode, Let's Move Canada, we will talk with Olympian champion Madison Mailey about what inspired her to become an athlete and what staying active and healthy means to her. But let me start today by saying this podcast is brought to you by the Canadian Health and Fitness Institute, whose mission is to make Canada the fittest nation on earth by 2020. And so to this end, our podcast aims to raise awareness about physical and mental health. So very quickly, let's talk a little bit about Madison Mailey. In her debut at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, Madison won gold as part of Canada's women's eight, ending the country's 24-year gold drought in women's rowing. Mailey's international career began with a bronze in double sculls at the 2013 Can-Am Mex Regatta and included back-to-back gold medals in double sculls and quad sculls the following year. During her time at Northeastern University in the US, from 2015 to 2018, she was a fixture in the varsity eight, helping the team consistently actually place in the top 20 at NCAA championships. Finally, in 2017, she joined the Canadian national rowing team, contributing to a silver medal at the World Rowing Championships in 2018 and Tokyo 2020 qualifications in the four at the 2019 World Championships. Madison, did I do it justice? Welcome.
Thank you very much. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was great.
All right, we're going to start off with a couple questions for Madison. So first of all, how did you become involved in rowing? And did you ever dream about becoming an Olympic champion?
Yeah, great question. I started rowing actually because my brother tried the sport, and he had a best friend who had a little sister my age. And I remember when he started and he found it very fun to be outside and be active. And I had signed up for the grade 8 volleyball team, and my mom said, I think you should try rowing. I think now looking back, maybe it was a bit of a selfish move so that she wouldn't have to drive to two different locations. But I tried my first rowing practice and quickly fell in love with the sport, probably laughed more than I rowed. But that was my intro. And then dreaming about being an Olympic champion, I feel like my story is a bit unique in the sense I never thought I would be good enough to be an Olympic champion. I watched these beasts on TV and I thought, wow, they are their own breed. But I kind of trusted my instincts over the years, worked really hard, and obviously had the opportunity to go to the Olympics and do well, but never could have imagined it when I was
That's
younger.
really interesting. So where in your career did you start to think, no, I could actually, this is an attainable goal?
Yeah, I would say after my third year university, I competed at the World Rowing Championships and we got a silver medal. And I made my first senior team. I felt like I belonged with these women that I looked up to. And I thought, okay, I can do this. And if I keep this same approach and really work with these amazing athletes around me, we can do it together. So that was probably the turning point for me. And so I think other people might have believed in me more than I believed in myself at the beginning, but the hard work paid off.
I like that so much, right? You throughout, I think 3 times you've mentioned, there was someone who was doing something that inspired you, whether it was your brother's friend or those women on TV, right? Or finding your community at school, right? It always sounds like there was always someone at the forefront or someone in your corner. And so I just want to focus a little bit on who has inspired you. Who are these role models specifically that you looked at that along the way kind of just reaffirmed the idea that you can do this?
Yeah, I think that inspiration and having people in your corner is so important. I don't think you would talk to one athlete that would say, I could do it alone. They would always say there's a village or there's people around them that are supporting them to be successful. So I would probably start with my parents. Honestly, they live life at 110%. They are always active. They're always giving back to their community. They've always worked hard and they really instilled those values in me. So big shout out to mom and dad for being really inspiring to me. And then on the athletic front, a few people, Kathleen Heddle would be a big inspiration I had before the Olympics. The values, sure, she was an incredible athlete. She had wonderful racing results, but what she was known for on the rowing team was being the best teammate of all time. And I had a little sticky note on my mirror and it said, what would Kathleen do? And I looked at that every day and I thought, if I can be that person on my team where everyone wants to row with me, where I can make everyone better, that's the person I want to be. So she was a huge inspiration to me.
What are some really good attributes that a teammate has to be the best teammate?
I think being probably a good listener. I think in the sporting world, we always have strong ideas, especially when you're the best from your town, the best from your club. You think you have great ideas, but taking the time to listen to the people around you. I think grit. We don't want that teammate that's going to lose in the first race and then carry that with them. Throughout the rest of the regatta. So often we'll race 3 or 4 times in a regatta and, the heat could go poorly, but you want that teammate that's going to have the grit. It's going to be able to switch on their tough energy and keep the momentum going in the right direction. And probably the last one, just having compassion for your teammates and understanding them. And we're humans at the end of the day. No one's perfect and people go through stuff and they might not be at their 100% every day, but can you give a 5% more on those days when your teammates have 5% less? And so those are probably the characteristics I really look for in teammates.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. All right. So you have a mantra, food is fuel. Where did that come from? And what does it mean?
Okay, so I've always viewed food as fuel. Since I was a little girl, I always loved to eat like lots of healthy food, but also have a bit of a sweet tooth. And
Same.
I obviously am not sweet enough. I need to have some extra candies once in a while. But I had great nutritionists during my time at Northeastern as an athlete there. And then my nutritionist on the national team, her name was Kim McQueen, and she really helped me view food differently. Look at the macros, think about what you need based on your workout, what you're doing, how much protein do you need, how much carbs do you need. And through that and being on a team where, you're trying to dial everything to be almost perfect, right? What are you eating? How do you make that almost perfect? How are you recovering? Like, how are you recovering the best in the world? And then how are you training the best in the world? Like, it got so specific that I realized that nutrition for me looks very different than nutrition for the two of you. That would look different from your friend, your partner, your parent. We all have very unique bodies. And so at the end of the day, some people might look at their body and think I need to lose weight or gain weight, but instead, what fuel does your body need to be its most efficient, successful version of yourself? So I think being on a team sport made me think food is fuel. What fuel do you need? You need diesel, you need gas, what percentage, right? And it's different for everyone, but with that mindset, it allows you to fuel yourself in the right way instead of thinking of, I can't have that. It's like, no, your body's telling you to have that for a certain reason. Why?
Absolutely.
Do you find it easy to keep that diet or, what you eat going, even when you're not competing, just keep it as a lifestyle?
Yeah, I do actually. It was very strange because we row early in the morning. So I used to always have to eat like a big breakfast before our practice at 6 a.m. So when I retired, I was like, what do I do? Do I eat in the morning before work? Like, this is very strange. And I figured it out. It wasn't a perfect journey for me leaving sport. Not that I've left sport. Okay, let's say I've left ultimate high level sport. I still work out every day, but not training towards an Olympic experience anymore. So I found what my body needs now and what allows me to not ever bonk throughout the day or have high energies or low energies, just to keep pretty happy and neutral. So it's hard because you're not training for anything specific, but I know what my body needs.
No, that makes perfect sense. And we've talked a lot about how food is an interest, kind of outside of sport, but there are definitely bridges to sport. So I'm very curious to know, outside of that strive to perfection, right, as being an athlete, what are some of your interests outside of sport? And a little birdie just happened to sing to me that you also sing opera. So how about, what if we talk a little bit about that interest?
Yes, of course. So I really grew up as a well-rounded kid. I loved school. I loved being active. I loved music. And I also loved service and giving back to my community. And that was pretty strong values for me, all of those things. And I became a little bit narrow-minded in university and at the Olympics for the athletic component. But I've been singing since I was about 3 years old, and I started singing classical music when I was 12. And my grandfather was the inspiration behind that because he is the concert pianist with the orchestra out in Chilliwack. So he was always my accompanist. And I went to university and I wanted to keep that a part of my life. So I actually did a joint certificate program in classical voice. And to graduate from that program, I had to do a concert and I had to invite my teammates. So I invited all my rowing friends, and they were just like, they had to pick their jaw off the ground because they were like, Madison wearing a gown, singing in 4 different languages? Like, where is our like tough teammate that's normally in the boat?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So it was fun. And it's such an emotional release for me. It's still, I find music is such an art. It's such a living thing. And everyone needs a time to turn off and slow down. And that's kind of my space to do that. So it's still important to me. I still sing in choirs and love it. But it was a big part of my childhood.
I'll say this. I think out of the three of us, it's safe to say that we're all a group of singers. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that you sang, Luigi.
Well, yes, the
You never told me this.
Well, yeah, the occasional karaoke every Friday night with friends, it does something for me. Will I go on the radio and sing it? Absolutely not. I don't think I'm at that level yet.
Okay.
But Dana, I know Dana is definitely.
Dana, what do you like to sing?
Yeah, I've been a professional musician my whole life. So, yeah.
Told you we were all singers.
What sort of music?
Right now, I'm released my own. I just released an EP in the summer. I have another album coming out in January. But before that, I went to school for jazz, actually.
Wow.
Jazz piano, and vocal and voice.
Wow. I wish I still could play the piano. It's such an incredible instrument. I mean, I can dabble while I sing, but that's amazing. Good for you.
Oh, I totally, yeah, I love that you're into you know, you got the sports and you got the art and all of that. It's great. It's a great way to live. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I was this podcast has a factor of community. So if you were going to say how could you inspire or engage your community, people around you into being active and staying fit and staying healthy, what do you think are some ways that we could do that as an athlete, as a professional athlete?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's easy when I'm being told when I'm working out, what I'm doing. You know, I have a coach, I have a team around me that's supporting me to meet my fitness goals. But, you know, when you've left whatever your athletic journey was, whether it be high school or university or professional sport, everyone stops their craft at a certain time, and you have to move into whatever direction you like, whether that be running, rock climbing, skiing, whatever you like. But I think creating a schedule and being a little bit regimented with when you're getting outside, put a walk in your work calendar for a coffee, have a business meeting where you're walking outside. You know, I think it's carving out this time where you can be outside, you can be active, you know, your body like chemically releases endorphins and it feels good. Everyone's like, why does it feel so good after I work out? And it's because it's like your body needs to move. We were supposed to be moving, and instead we're sitting here at our desks all day being sedentary, and it's not going to provide us to be healthy or live long, healthy lives, which I think we all look at the 80 or 90-year-olds in our lives and we see the fit ones, the ones that are still able to move and clean themselves and eat and see their loved ones. Then you see the ones that aren't able to, you know, live life fully at that age. And I think a lot of that has to do with the food they eat and obviously genetics, but how active they are. Are they stretching? Are they walking? Right? So I would say schedule it, make it like a part of your week, be organized.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point where you said to be having a business meeting while you're walking or something, because a lot of people, they say, I don't have the time to fit this into my daily routine, right? But if you could make some element and combine it with something you're already doing in your routine, then it takes care of the activity part there, which was a great idea.
Do you want to hear my other mantra?
Yes.
But
absolutely.
balance is fake.
Balance is fake.
There's no such thing as a balance. You know, people are like, how do you balance your being a mom and being a athlete and being a businesswoman or whatever your life looks like? Because all of us have lots of facets in our life that we have to take care of, right? I think balance is fake. I think whatever you're doing at that time, you have to give 110% to, and that's how you have time to then do these other things that are hopefully 100%. If we try to balance everything, so we're doing it all at the same time, your brain doesn't firstly have space for all of that information and energy and emotion. But also you feel so much better when you're like, okay, these are my priorities at this time. From 9 to 10, I'm going on my walk. From 10 to 11, I'm doing my business or my music. So that's my other mantra. It's like whatever you're doing at that time, make it the most important thing to you.
Wow, that's really interesting. I like that.
Makes a lot of sense. Totally. Yeah. Now, you know, one thing that I realized that we've talked about was making sure that you include exercise, right? In any time of your life. So at any point during your day or during a time period, a stage of your life, to actually make sure you get active. And it sounds so much like, you know, the YouTube videos that I used to watch to stay active during COVID-19. And so at a high level, I just wonder how COVID-19 would have affected you during the Olympic Games, right? So very curious to see what that time looked like for you.
It's not a short answer, but I'll try to keep it condensed. In 2019, I qualified the women's four for the Olympics. In 2020, the Olympics were supposed to happen. They happen every 4 years. For those of you listening that don't know that, And so I knew that this was my opportunity to shine. We had selection. I made my first Olympic team. It was so exciting. Of course, called my parents and my friends. Everyone was pumped. I had heard about what this COVID thing was, but honestly was just so focused on my training at that time in January and February that was my main focus. The day after we got selected and I got to tell everyone that I'd made it, we got a message in our Olympic group chat, and it said, just to let you know, on the news tomorrow, it's going to be announced that Canada has pulled out of the Olympic Games in 2020.
Wow.
And of course, my heart sunk. I know there was tears shed. That was my finish line and something I had been training for 10 years, and it was canceled. I was going to watch it on TV. And then, of course, we know what happened after that. The next day, the Japanese PM and the Canadian Olympic Committee, everyone said, okay, it's decided the Olympics is postponed for a year. So we all got sent home. We all had to train by ourselves for 4 months. It was a very strange time, but for me, it was great. I got to train with my partner, and he is very fit. So I often got to chase him around on his bike and it pushed me. I got to see my family, and that was quite lovely. But one of the most important things that it taught me was that all my teammates, you know, they're not from Victoria. We all train there and work out there and have a similar goal, but people left behind family members. They left behind partners, husbands, wives. And it provided me to see all my teammates as people. And I found that part really nice. And then we came back all together, and it was weird. We could only row in singles and doubles. And, you know, you're thinking, wow, like, are we going to be able to do this? Is this Olympics going to happen? And it did. Obviously, it was a COVID Olympics, the first postponed Olympics of all times. I felt so thankful to just be there and be able to compete, because that's all I had been training for, that I didn't care that we had to wear masks or that I couldn't talk to anyone that wasn't my team. I could just do what my job was and perform. And it's such a blessing to be able to be supported by the government and have funding to be able to do our sport. So I hope it inspired some people to pick up an oar maybe, or try getting outside and try rowing, because it's a wonderful sport and a full body workout, and so fun because you're doing it with your teammates.
Yeah. Wow. What an interesting story. That's a long journey through COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A 5-year, we call them quadrennials, but it was 5 years. So it was a bit
right.
strange.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So the last thing we're going to talk about is Madison Mailey is actually joining the board of advisors with CHFI. So we're very excited about that. So how do the goals of CHFI resonate with you, and what does joining the board mean to you?
Yeah, so I met with John, and he told me that the goal was to have Canada be the fittest nation. And I thought, sign me up. So it was a pretty easy yes from me. I love the values. I think in general, we have a very inactive community, and people always feel better when they've been able to have a workout or get out and move. And so I'm very happy to be a part of the initiative. It felt great to be asked to be a part of the board of advisors. I've only had one meeting with the group so far, but I'm getting to know people, and everyone has such a unique perspective and a great voice. So I'm excited to learn from them, and also hopefully provide some input on subjects that I'm more of an expert in. But in general, I'm just learning as much as I can right now. And I'm excited to include my community and my network in this movement, and see what we can do for Canada.
Yay. Love it.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, as our audience can see, you are the perfect person, right? that we could have just
absolutely.
to the advisors board. So thank you so much for doing that and for being part of this team. You know, you're such a team player, you're such a wonderful individual, and you're bringing not just a lot of knowledge, but a lot of experiential learning, right? That you can pass on to the board and also to all of us. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming on here.
Thank
And
you. And I did bring something special to show you.
Yes.
You did,
Yes.
I did bring my Olympic medal, and thought I would show it to all of you. So
Amazing.
it's about 2 pounds.
I was gonna say that looks pretty heavy.
It is heavy. I was shocked when it got put around my neck, how heavy it was, and then I realized I couldn't complain because the gold medal is the heaviest, and heavier than the silver and the bronze. But yeah, she's got the goddess Nike. This is actually on every single summer Olympic medal, just as a piece of education. She's holding up the Olympic rings there, and yeah, and then this is Tokyo's design, and then it says my sport and what event I was in. So there's only 9 of these in the world.
That is so cool. Do you keep it on display at all times?
It lives under our coffee table sometimes, or in our bookshelf. But, so no, not really on display, but I love sharing it when I can, with schools or with companies, and creating inspiration. You know, they won't remember me, but they'll potentially remember what that felt to hold it, and so
that would be a inspiring thing for a lot of students, I would say. You know, getting to meet you and hear your story and see a real medal, right? It's like gives some incentive to really work hard towards the goals they have, and it's great.
And even if they aren't athletic or have that dream themselves, you know what this can mean. Going to Juilliard, this can mean getting their first job, like whatever. I think it just provides the inspiration of whatever they are trying to do. I remember I met Clara Hughes when I was a young girl, and she's I think one of the only athletes that is a summer and a winter Olympic medalist. And she's also a big advocate for mental health care. And anyways, I heard her speak, and I remember holding this medal, and I was just like, wow, this is so heavy. You must have done something really impressive to get this. And seeing how strong she was, and really inspired me to not necessarily get my own, but just to work hard at whatever I was doing, and how that would pay off.
No, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I love the lessons that you get from this, and again, I think that's the great thing with CHFI, is that it's not so much the exact goals that we have; it's the meaning, the message, in that intention for community that we're continuously showcasing, right? So,
yeah. Oh, that's lovely, and thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for being here.
A pleasure. And so thanks not only to you, but to everyone that has tuned into this episode. Again, we're your hosts, Dana and Luigi. And make sure to check out our Instagram at Let's Move Canada for the latest updates. And head over to our website, chfi.fit, to learn more about our mission. Don't hesitate to DM us if you're interested in being a guest on Let's Move Canada. And stay tuned for the next episode announcements. And that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us.
There's the Canadians. Gold in 92. Silver in 2012 and 96, and bronze in Sydney.
Power, 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 16 legs together, blades digging deep, and then getting more linear, quick and clean, quick and clean. Everyone is off the line. Sit up tall, push your legs down, nothing else matters.
Gold for Canada, silver for the Kiwis, and bronze for China. Canada win gold, their first since 92. Kristen Kitt on her feet, celebrating with Avalon Westonese. It is a pure gold race for the Canadians.
And Olympic champions, Canada.